Good morning and good day. Depends where you are, isn't it? Everything is relative to where you are, isn't it? You're the center, always the center of consciousness or awareness of your universe. So no matter where your mind takes you or your emotions and desires take you, it's all centered around your center, around awareness. And so in level 2, we're going to get a little more into that and understanding genetics and that sort of way. But it's sure good to talk with each and every one of you. It's been a couple of weeks, been on a little vacation down in South Texas, and boy, was that hot and muggy down there, boy. Thought Florida was hot. I came to Florida to cool off. So it's good to be able to talk to you. This week I'll have an opportunity to hopefully put a bunch of videos up on this tape, and then Chris is off for a week, so it's going to be another week before you get this, unfortunately. Sad that is. Trying to take steps to where I can get these videos to you quicker, particularly with your questions, but if you're in serious pain or have problems, don't forget to call in here if you need to. This is a better route if you can wait because of the amount of calls we get, but at the same time, we're here to help you in every single way possible. Just remember that. And some of you are struggling, some of you are sailing through. I'm reading so many great responses of how you're all getting your remedies back. And that's the thing. This level removed remedy for a long time in all levels, and now remedy's coming back. So that's a good thing, I thought I would do question and answers here. I try to interwove spirituality with everything because one can talk a great deal about spirituality and about traveling and about out-of-body experiences and things. And those are exciting things. Above all things else, in my opinion, there's nothing like expanding your awareness and getting away from isolated thinking into a far greater sense and understanding of all life and how it impacts you. The answers are all there. The mind keeps us from seeing it because it divides us up, takes our attention, and it puts it in streams of thought patterns. And there's endless thought patterns. We all feed out of the universal mind, so virtually we all can have similar thoughts. It's all universal mind stuff, But the way God put it all together, you feel like you're an individual and you're unique, and you are. But at the same time, it's all one anyway, And so it's just God expressing itself through you and every other individual expression within its creation, So you should always respect yourself and know that you're a greater part of that whole thing, as well as everything else. Nothing's above or below another. Some souls are lost in their thinking and their emotions and their desires, and they're caught up in the trap of illusion and the web of the drama, so to speak. But these are playtimes. Yeah, some are tough, and in the moment. But to the soul, to you, the consciousness, these are experiences that go in and out. There is no pain in the consciousness, but sure is in the physical body, isn't there? I know it. So I want to go over and read. I've got so much to go over, but I do have a lot of time, so I would like to, I don't want to make too long of videos because I know they're a pain in the butt to go through them, and so I do understand that. But hopefully I can interlace some good stuff to help you grow and stuff. I know so many of you are working with tough cases. I'm getting calls from each and you practitioners out there, and you guys that are taking it on and becoming practitioners. And just don't lose the word simplicity. Keep that forefront, because the more complex you make things, the less you become a healer. That's the problem. Simplicity is always the key. And the mind wants to make complexity out of it, but we could add this, and we could add that, and we could do this, and we could do that. I mean, it's amazing, and not everything is how they tout it to be. And if you keep it simple and use nature's products, not so much the end products like shells, and you're grinding them up, and different clays and volcanic ash and stuff like this. I mean, these things are nutritive at one level, but in the human body they become free radicals and can hurt the human body as well. So one has to be careful about things that you consume, thinking that you're going to help yourself, and you're not. The other point, of course, was with the high alkaline water. Remember, balance and simplicity are two vital words to learn, and if we don't learn them, we have experiences that teach us that, and I can tell you that. And so I've always thought, simplicity, always seek to find the simplest remedy out of the complex, and then you'll find truth. It's the complex that takes you away and into areas that it's impossible to understand in these confined, shall I say, levels of awareness. Hard to see it all. There's so much to it. But anyway, let's get on to some questions there and see if I can be of some help to any one of you. Each and every one of you are so valuable to the growth of this human awareness and the protection of the planet in so many ways. You should never underestimate how giant of an individual you each are, and have due respect for that too. This is a question in from Antonio, and it deals with vitiligo. And what is it? It's obvious what it is. Vitiligo is, I call the Michael Jackson effect, where your skin pigmentation starts to turn. The claim, of course, is that we're a tropical species and that we all came out of the darker skinned races, which are protective from the sun more. The more white you are, the harder it is to deal with the sun excessive lengths of time. I just got used to it through the years, living on the beach and all that. But for a white person, difficult to stay in the sun and work in the fields, isn't it? So everybody is a blessing to the whole in every way, shape, or form. But skin pigmentation has changed in the Homo sapien, particularly those that migrated to the northern climates, and we became white out of a darker skin. And National Geographic and a lot of scientists have traced this back genetically in the genetic code and all these things. But irregardless, it doesn't really actually matter. But when you start to see your skin pigmentation changing in a gross way, like in vitiligo or albinos, you're going to go to the pituitary gland always. So the pituitary gland, if we didn't have the blessed iridology, we would struggle to understand the connection between the gut tissue and the brain, particularly the transverse colon. And in our classes, we point this out considerably, and it gave Dr. Jensen a good foot up on this, because understanding the eye is understanding the embryo, is understanding the fetus, is understanding the human, the adult. You just start seeing the phases and how the eye maps these out. And the simplicity of the science is incredible, and yet the depth of the science is incredible when you stop to think the limitation that X-ray, CAT scans, MRIs have in the looking of cells or the condition of the tissue itself. You can go and have your kidneys are within normal limits of size and shape and things like this, and you can see, of course, if your blood's regurgitating from the valves in the heart. There's a lot of things you can see through X-ray or through ultrasounds and things like that. But reality is, you can't see pain, you can't see acidosis, and you can't see the condition or consciousness of the cells as the iris can show us. And discovered by a surgeon, I would think it's a shoe-in. But you would have to change your concepts of chemistry and allopathy and realize that we're not fighting alkalosis, we're fighting acidosis. And as long as you believe we're fighting alkalosis, then chemistry screwing us real bad, hurting us real bad. So it's just understanding the difference there. And once that understanding, and then allopathy has to get with the lymphatic system. What is it? What does it do? What's its function? And what's the role of the kidneys in connection with that? And find some old charts where true connection of the kidneys to the lymph system is shown, as we've shown, demonstrated the connection of the small bowel directly to the liver, not to the subclavian for lipid absorption. Things like that. And sometimes in science, you've got to have some common sense, because observed science is still a conditioned state. Whenever you use the mind, you're still using a conditioned state of awareness to look at results or effects that you don't have a clue to tie into that. And so the conditioned mind, as a chemist, has to be careful. He's conditioned to look at chemistry in a certain way. And again, theories run wild in chemistry and physics and things like this. There are some things we do know, but it is obvious by all ways of understanding that man deals with acidosis, not alkalosis. There is alkalosis, but the majority of the people are high into extreme acidosis, and this is serious, serious, serious. And changing that shift is vital, and that's important for naturopaths to understand. Very important, because naturopaths are being pulled into allopathic thinking. And if you're a naturopath that wants to be a medical doctor, then quit being a naturopath. Because you don't want to be a medical doctor in these times, and what's coming karmatically back to that field. You don't want that. You want to be a naturopath, and medical doctors that love this area need to become a naturopath, because that's where trueness is. But naturopathic medicine is still taught on the wrong way of looking at sometimes anatomy and physiology and dietary habits, broken way off from its roots. Benedict Lust and naturopathy and the understanding of the raw and the understanding of what happens to chemistry under a heated environment, etc., etc., etc. Really looking at it from a more holistic or a more rounded view, as opposed to professors and theories and things like this. And by the time you get through, you don't know what you learned in the first place. And so that's the problem with schools. You cram for tests, you go through things, and of course you're on to something else, and you don't have time to incorporate what you're learning into an overview or into a picture that shows you how everything works. And that's what's lacking and needed, I think, also. So when you look at this and look at vitiligo or any condition that comes from the head up, generally you'll find a lot of lymphatic problems. Genetics in pituitaries always come out of the transverse colon. So when you see pituitary problems, you also see colon problems, GI tract problems, sinus problems. So you have to kind of clean everything down below to get the head to drain. And when there's genetic weaknesses, you have to clean your bowels as you would your head area. So it's interesting, and not to be confusing, but understanding more iridology helps you to see how all things spring out of that colon and bowel area. And then going back to embryology, you understand that embryonic tail and the embryo stages, as that cell opens up and you see the embryo and you see the embryonic tail here, that is the spinal column and the gut tissue. And you start to see that all the organs and glands are coming up out of this tissue. And so you know that all organs and glands are bound, symbiotically bound to the GI tract tissue. So this is why in natural health, the GI tract has been revered as the number one point to clean up. And colon cancer, of course, has been number one for generations. I think they'd say lung is now. And then the studies of high protein diets and the impact upon GI tract tissue and the link to cancers have been done for years and years. I think last year was a 30-year study. What they're not looking at and what they're skipping over is exactly what you guys are learning. It's understandable in natural health. You work on your GI tract. That's a given. Has been since the early 1900s. However, you must understand that you have three other eliminative organs that are essential, that they're also working. And those are the kidneys. And that includes the skin, which is the largest kidney you have, the third kidney of the human body. They are all eliminative organs, but of different types of waste. And it's a huge mistake to overlook kidney function and kidney failure, even just the inability to filter waste from the kidneys. Nowhere would you want to see water, clear water, coming out of a sewer pipe when sewage is being dumped in it. And that's just what you have to understand, is that sewage from the cells, byproducts of metabolism and respiration, are always being dumped interstitially into the interstitial fluid, which then becomes the lymph fluids, and then off to the lymph nodes to be broken down by the bacterium, and then off to the kidneys or skin. It's just a natural rhythm of that, the need to get rid of waste. When wastes are not gotten rid of, there's where you start to see symptomology: pain, swelling, tumors, cysts, boils, pimples, things like that. And of course, then you can see the skin. So then the skin shows you that you're backed up lymphatically through psoriasis and eczema and stuff like this. When you see skin pigmentation changing, that's going right into a gland that controls skin pigmentation, or any of the other multitude of functions that your endocrine glands control, be it pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenals, pancreas, testicles, ovaries. These are all glands. Thymus gland is another one. So these are glands, produce hormones and steroids and neurotransmitters and the like, and those are all essential to the running of the machine. Without those things, you start to see symptomology. And when you start to look at pituitaries and things like this, what brings down the cells of the human body? Lifestyle. I mean, there's nothing else. Now in the world, though, chemistry is so out of control. We haven't thought ahead. We're so excited about new inventions and the new things and stuff. We're going to find a wall here, and we're starting to see that. Now you're having the cameras in the sky, so to speak, So people are now playing with these drones now. The problem is that as you lose your freedom, anger starts setting in. And when you take the freedom away from man, a war has always begun, whether it's a revolution within the country or whatever. This country just hasn't seen one for a while. We became civilized. So it's coming, though, if it doesn't get straightened around there. You can't keep taking the freedom away from individuals. That's the essence of God, is to free and express and to grow. And we've got this some warped view that we need to control and make laws for everything. So for what reason? Other than power and control, because you can't stop deaths. You can't stop accidents from happening. When you have this many humans on the planet, people are going to get killed in car accidents and things. You can't just keep blocking people's ability to go out and have fun. You have a species... every species has to be monitored for overgrowth, and nature has its way of terminating them when we get overgrowth of species. And that's what's going on now. The World Bank and the World Health Organization, the IMF, they're trying to figure out, they're already using the AMA, they're probably using chemtrails, who knows. They're already using as many things as they can think of to kill humans. I mean, there's too many people. It's obvious. And it's just, that's their goal. Look at the goal of the World Health Organization. Scary as all get out. Why else would a touted consumer protection agency allow chemicals that automatically kill people? There's only one reason, and that is to kill people. So vitiligo, you got to get the pituitary. How do you get glands that are genetically weak back online? 2, how do you get glands that are suppressed, that are not functioning properly, whether it's genetics or what could be the other reason? Well, blood, you can't blame very many things on blood problems, because if blood isn't getting to an area, that area will die, no question about it. So blood is pretty much as you see it and right in your face. So we have to turn to the other system, the largest system in the human body that's a fluid system, and that is the lymphatic/interstitial system. These fluids are lipid-based fluids. They deal with waste and byproducts. They're your main immune system. They deal with cells that have been damaged. They deal with lipid absorption. This is a huge system. And this system has to be re-looked at and understood differently. If you understand it as allopathy portrays it, then you lose the understanding of the role of the kidneys, and pretty soon they don't mean anything to you but the elimination of water and other minor acids, and that's bullcrap. These are major eliminative organs, and most people have kidney problems in one level or another. And if you're 30 or below, you can just about take it to the bank. You've got kidney and adrenal gland problems. I'm getting calls every day in the teens and 20s, and these aren't good calls, where they're suffering a lot, and it's kidney failure, the failure of the kidneys to filter the waste from the body. And with the glands going down and all the dairy products after all these years filling the body full of mucus, we've got to get all this mucus that suppresses the function of glands out, all this acidosis which sets up inflammation, which either hyperstimulates glands or then breaks them down and creates hypoglands. So all of this is fluid-based. You can deal with the health of cells through the fluids because that's how the body does it. The health of the cell is directly dependent upon the same two things that everything else is: consumption of nutrients or energetics and the elimination of the byproducts of that use. It's that simple. There's not that's what's going on constantly throughout the unit. It's not some impregnation of diseases and something that comes from flying outer space and this bacteria is gnarly. Yeah, bacteria is always gnarly to a sewage system. And so again, think about the terrain or the culturing medium. So when the pituitary's down like this, I would definitely go to a pituitary glandular, but I'd probably, since the pituitary is hooked to the hypothalamus, the pituitary is a very little bitty thing, I'd only do 1 a.m. and 1 p.m. of a pituitary formula, or I would go to the endocrine gland formulas. At the same time, I'm pounding my kidneys and adrenals to filter. I'm going into the bowels and cleaning them up. I'm going into the lymph system, and I'm pulling and I'm honking, and I'm hoping I'm going to get a good cold and flu-like symptom. Because the more that you drain out of the head, the clearer your thinking, the better your smell, and the better the taste. So it's getting into these tissues and doing this. And let me tell you, I've seen this for 43 years, and I've never changed my opinion once, except I keep learning more about the kidneys and things like this by observing and watching you guys, and there's still things we don't know. So it's it's working yourself to Wellville from a state of extreme toxicity for most of you and lymph problems, and then genetic weaknesses on top of it. But I still see some very good, strong constitutions out there, and you just have to keep in and keep digging into these areas. I've never seen any other food work but fruits, berries, melons, and water fasting. Those are your top of the mountain, how I get into tissue and how I do this. We're not saying that you have to be a fruitarian, although it's a level of total enjoyment. I struggle with that always because that is such a great level to be at. But heart in a society, no question, and the stressors that we each have, the more stress, the more it pulls you to the negative side, and the crap you eat and stuff. Stress is a big deal, and responsibility. You take on too much responsibility, it weighs you down. When things weigh you down, you're polarized to the lower foods. The higher you are, the higher you're polarized to the higher foods. It's all just in the way consciousness is and what feeds it, and vibrations and balance and all this sort of thing. So when we're depressed and unhappy, we're definitely not polarized to fruit. We're polarized to the negative foods, the dead animal tissues and their crappy milks that causes mucus to line the body head to toe. All this crap that somehow man thinks is good. And there's no way that man today thinks these foods are good. This is just promoted as propaganda so you'll eat it and kill yourself. Because there's no way in today's world you would even know that eating dead tissue is a healthy thing. If those out there are claiming that they're living in a cloud of ignorance and unawareness. So you got to dig in and do that. And, realize this, Antonio, and stuff. You can use things for the pituitary, no question. And upper circulation would be one of them, and brain and nerve would be another one. I love those two things for anything upstairs. Two formulas. But moving lymph is key, and cleaning up the bowels is key for this. So you have to understand that on this side, and understanding truth is you're not going to take one herb and find yourself in Wellville. And there is not one supplement. There's not one grinding up stones and shells and volcanic ash and stuff like that. Not going to lead you to Wellville. Wellville is full of energy. Wellville is full of vitality. Wellville is full of boundless happiness and not a sense of the human body. You feel you're more like air and consciousness and light, and so it has no room for dead tissue and milks and things like this. And so you have to get away from these. It's one thing, everybody's going to cheat now and then. That's just life. But if you want to get a remedy done, dig in and then go find yourself a balance in your diet. But dig in you must, because those of you that are not getting the remedy, you've got to dig deeper. And if you're already digging deeper, it's just a matter of time and working this out. Some of you guys' genetics are pretty deep. You have to work it out of there. And working out of there is making things healthy again. Things can return to a state of health, and then even beyond that. You know, you can go back to your genetic past, and then beyond that, you can actually rewind all of this stuff, you know, and start a whole new level of consciousness. You're bringing your cells into a far greater expression than they probably can remember. So you have to realize these cells in your body are just little states of consciousness, just like everything else is in the final analysis there. Let me see here. This is, I apologize in advance. My message is too long. This isn't too long of one. This isn't too long at all. I want to say the right information so we can fully understand each other. I came across your videos on YouTube by searching methods of how to detox the body. Oh, that was good. The liver flush by Andreas is one of the methods that I have been a bit afraid to try. Nonetheless, this is how I came across your videos. Yeah, again, if you're doing these liver gallbladder flushes, there's only really one standard one. Using the salt waters, that's stupid. That's it. You don't want to do that. One lady was in here, she said, I just about ended up in the ER doing the salt water. And I said, nobody recommends salt water consumption. Survivalist programs, things like this, you never do that. So some things you just got to think out. You know, and I know that people want to trust other practitioners, and I say that same with me. I try to think everything out and make sure that I've had some experience or someone has before I'm going to put any stamp of approval on anything. And some things are just common sense you don't do. You know, some things are just common sense. Salt waters, too high a pH of water creates just what they're talking about, alkalosis. All these things, too much consumption of water, edema, swelling, congestive heart failure. Too much water can drown you and kill you. So you just really, balance is far more the key here in understanding when you're looking at different people's concepts and ideas. I try to use everything that nature provides that is within the realm of natural, except I do use the glandulars, which is a production. They're desiccated tissues, but outside of that, yeah, we have to look at our ability to make things that are good for us. I think this concept of chemistry, though, is we have to rethink it and realize that we need to come back from where we were with that. We got to get rid of the plastics. We got to come back and look at things differently. Yeah, we need to keep some things and get rid of a lot of things. And I would say pharmaceutical-wise, 90% of pharmaceuticals should be trashed. Have a big bonfire. The problem is the air gets so toxic, who knows what would happen. The liver, okay, came across your videos, and I am very interested in many of the topics you speak of. I have a severe vision problem. Ophthalmologist told me that I have keratoconus, I don't know how you pronounce that word, and can only prescribe gas-permeated contacts. Wow, that's interesting, which are very uncomfortable. The glasses, which are way too strong. Wow. Huh, that's interesting. I don't know what, I have to look that up and see what that is. But whenever you start to see eye problems, keep this in mind. We burn our eyes a lot. I burned a lot of mine in nuclear medicine. The radiation is pretty strong there. And then you're dealing in nuclear stuff. It's like scary crap, But at the same time, TVs, computer screens, all this radiation, of course, and it is known that radiation damages cells. I mean, I don't know of anybody that doesn't know that, and those that don't, that's scary, because we're seeing tumors now from cell phones and things, and so it's all scary. So we have so much radiation from all sources that we're bombarded now with so much. Growing up, the airwaves had very little TV and radio in them. Now probably every channel is crammed, so there's so much going through the airwaves themselves that thank God consciously you can't perceive them, or you would go even more nuts. And I think this is why a lot of people do kind of tilt sometimes, is there's just so much conversation going on multitudes of levels that you can subconsciously perceive, that it can probably take its toll on a person, But also remember, you have a nervous system there. And the nervous system is tied to the central and the autonomic. And the autonomic still gets its feed from the adrenal glands. So getting the adrenal glands up and neurotransmitters are definitely helpful in all levels of work in the body neurologically, including the optic nerves. With that said then, of course, the fluids become acidic. The retina, everything becomes acidic because of why? Because every cell has to have a connection to the lymphatic system, has to have a connection to get rid of its waste and byproducts, and that includes the eye. When you see the lymph system backing up, you'll start to see mucus floaters in the eye, the sinuses full of mucus, then the eye floaters, and then the eye pressure, which is lymphatic pressures. As you see the deterioration of the retina or the pupil or whatever, that's just acid on top of acids, starting to break down tissues and connective tissues and things. You want to look at the parathyroid for connective tissue within the eye itself included. So this is why detox, using the eye washes to promote better blood and lymph flow to cells, because you only have the two fluids that deal directly with the cells, and you have to go through these two fluids, meaning that your consumption has to be of a nature that it's energetic and chemically harmonious with the human body, in digestion and every other way. Also, the inability or ability to move lymph properly or improperly is a major factor of this deterioration. Blood, when it starts to get flowing slower or being restricted through the swelling of the lymph system, then we get ischemia, which is the reduced flow of blood to cells, and you can feel these things, and that's how you begin to break down tissue. But 9 out of 10 times it is the lymph that's always the causative problem to this factor. And you can take it right to lifestyle and what all the proteins diets did to the colon and the kidneys, the eliminative organs, all the milks that clog the lymph systems, all the crap that people eat that somehow tout as healthy. But if you step back and you really look at this, we are a higher order species than the other vertebrates. Not to say that they're better, we're better or worse or anything like that. That's only our egos that come into play there. But we are living beings that require living nutrition. Living nutrition is simply energized. It is physics. It's simply energetic chemistry. It's chemistry bonded the way nature had it and grew from a plant or a tree or whatever, energized, loved by, and formed by the consciousness of the Creator. That's the only foods that you can take in and make any claim that it has a regenerative possibility or probability to it. That's the only way. So when you go into dead tissues and stuff, that's a no-brainer. It's a putrefactive. It's corrosive. It's everything under the sun. Vibrationally, it's dying. It's on its way out. It's the same thing with fermented foods. We have this fashion for fermented foods. These foods are on their way out. We're supposed to consume them before they start dying. We want the life properties, the life-giving properties, the energetics, the consciousness, not just to mention the chemistry. And when we come in and think we know more about chemistry than nature, then I have to back away and say, I don't want any part of that ego, because that ego just gets karmic slammed. This is the problem. Man always thought his ego got out of shape. And so he's above all the other creatures. He doesn't have to take care of the planet. The planet's, so he separated himself. And the only way to get to Wellville is wrap yourself around the mother again, the big mother, the Mother Earth. Because that's what you need, from the gemstones to everything. And we don't need to break them apart, and we just need to hug them a little bit. So I would definitely take off with some eye washes, both internally and externally. You actually raw eye tissue to inspire eye tissue function. The nervous system is a big issue here. So upper circuit, brain and nerve. Upper circulation moves blood more aggressively through the eye tissue, brain tissue, but it also has promoting herbs in there, tonic herbs in there, and the same thing with the brain and nerve. Promotes good nerve function and stuff. At the same time, you're cleaning the mucus and things away that are deteriorating or blocking the flow of nerve force or blood flow or lymph flow, all of these factors. Because anytime you see vision problems, hearing problems, especially hearing problems, most hearing problems are just congestion. And it gets to the point where you can't hear nothing. And you just got to clean out those ear canals. And this is all just mucus. Mucus, 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 mucus. Notice how much better you can taste and smell and hear after a good cold and flu-like symptom. Because you're cleaning all the mucus out, all the congestion, all that which blocks or restricts the flow of energy, whether it's blood, nerve, or lymph. I really don't want to have surgery, and I know there has to be a way to heal myself. I have made a bit of progress, and by researching and adding to my own judgment, I have come to the conclusion that my body is ill and needs to rid itself of the bad in order of my eye. And you're right on with that. I visited a Chinese doctor to see what he can find, and he clearly came to the conclusion that my liver needs a detox. He connected my vision with my liver and said he can help me through acupuncture and Chinese herbs. I was not able to finish my treatment due to certain situations, but that pointed me to the direction. Yeah, and you know what? Half of what that guy's saying is right. I mean, you have to get in and remove that which is obstructing or breaking down or affecting the flow of energy, whether it's eye tissue or liver tissue or whatever. They have the connections in Chinese medicine of the spleen, kidney, cheese, and all these things like this. But to tell you the truth, everything is interconnected. Sorry, you can't live with one without the other. And this lymph system is systemic as the blood is. So it flows around all cells one way or another, or most of them. And this is how the body gets rid of and feeds itself. Because when you're talking about the body, you're talking about roughly 100 trillion cells. Who knows really how many? It was 80 trillion, like I said, when I went to school. So everything is constantly changing in science, isn't it? I agree that certain laws in quantum physics are responsible for disease, so I have also been dealing with my true self. Yeah, I mean, this is true, too, because it's, when you reverse it, and this is real. Who is this? Oh, this is Joni? Jonny. Wow, smart. Smart individual. To understand God is reversing creation. Looking and realizing that chemistry is actually just frequencies of electromagnetic energy. Oh my God. And then what is frequencies of electromagnetic energy? We get into energy, and then we get into quantum physics, as you mentioned. Now we get into intelligence. Well, what is intelligence? And another word for intelligence is consciousness. So how can consciousness, intelligence, create matter? I agree. Let me see here. Expressed emotions, fears, my passions, love, stress, to clear that part of myself. Yeah, I mean, it depends what your goal is and what you want to achieve in this lifetime. Do you want the God conscious state? Do you want a better life for yourself, to feel better? There's any level you wish to attain. Any level is at your disposal, especially the more you awaken up and realize you have the power, and it's always been your power to create and have what you want or not want, realizing with every want comes a price. And you've been paying that for quite some time. For a lot of you, it's time to break all of those chains and get out of creation for a while. For a lot of you, it's time to just get to a higher level. And for some of you, there will always be the return. So it's just where do you want to put your attention and what you want to experience, and how much fun do you want, and how much can you let go of creation, and how much can you be willing to enjoy and experience, because it's boundless, it's endless, and you're the only one that comes in and stops that. And it's just a lack of awareness, but that's the way it's supposed to be, because that's how it loses itself. Can't keep full consciousness all the time and have creation and individuality and individual experiences. And then how does it train itself to expand itself, except through individualizing itself and training itself to even grow even bigger individually? I mean, you start to see just how it's doing it. I have gone through a lot of pain growing up due to family problems and my own personal life. I am 23. Wow, smart for 23 years old. I've said this before. You guys in your teens and 20s, you guys are pretty aware beings. I'm real proud to work with you guys, And it's why I need for you to get well and healthy, and the experience will bring you into your spiritual allness, and then you'll really shine, because this earth needs all of you guys to open up your spiritual lights now and show the earth that we have to change if for those that have to get out of here and go on. I cannot see well at night. It's very difficult to make out people's faces. It's hard to just, I would really get in and start moving my lamp, get the kidneys filtering, get the bowels cleaned up, get up in the head with upper circumbrain and nerve, use eyes washes, and really work on having a good cold and flu, and really start working on cleaning yourself out. And then there's a regenerative side to that. And you'll be fine there, Joni. Thank you, Miss Flores. Thank you so much. Good questions. At 23 years old, too. Sad stuff. Nephrotic syndrome. I want to first to bless your work. Oh, thanks so much. Who is this? Ronnie. R-A-N-I. Ronnie. Thank you so much. The love and energy that you're sharing with the world is amazing. I hope so. And we all have it, and I love the bond that we're all getting on the YouTube and the Facebook and all this, because we need to work together. We're from the one, we're all the one, and we need to work together. And it's just helping each other, protecting each other from things that can hurt you, because a lot of people don't care. They're out selling product, or they're out, they don't have that allness sense, that oneness sense that we're all from the one, and therefore we're here to help each other so we each have a better experience in life, and for those that want more of a nirvanic or God experience, it's a big one. A good friend of mine has a rare autoimmune issue, and she is hoping to quit taking medicine, and I was hoping to give her some hope with her conditions. Okay, big hug and love. Same with you. Same back. My friend is Ossie, O-S-S-Y, is that Ossie? I was diagnosed with a nephrotic syndrome, minimal change disease when I was 4 years old. It is an autoimmune disease that attacks the kidneys. Now, I want you to remember this. When medical doctors say autoimmune, know that it just simply means it's your lymphatic system, and they don't have a friggin' clue. Nothing attacks nothing for no reason. You have virals and antigens, and there's no attack. There's magnetic adherence. There is the burn back from acids. All these things like that. The problem is, as nature dictates the strong and the weak, and the problem we facing is, as our cells become weakened to a point, our own immune system has to deal with them, because nature dictates that. It isn't an autoimmune anything. So there's two things in natural health that's been key to my focus. Clean out the body of all the acids and mucus and pus and proteins and all that crap, and rebuild the cells in it. Well, how do you rebuild cells? Well, how do you create them? Again, this is all through consciousness, but it's also through chemistry. So you come back down to chemistry, and you want enlivening chemistry. And that doesn't mean you cook your foods at all. You know, cooked food is an addiction, no question. And I still have a little cooked vegetables here and there. But if I'm focused, and I don't do cooked when I'm focused, do we? We want to focus and get done and then come balance out. And in that balance, you'll be happier. And you have taken yourself deep into Wellville and touched some of these strings. For those that are able to maintain it as long as you can. But always be that watcher at the gate of your consciousness. Don't let thoughts come in unless you want them. You can look at them, but then send them back. You don't need to take all that in and ride with that and make that your experience. You can experience through observation without the need to enter the activity. And for some, that's enough. Because by moving into the observed state, you can experience multiple activities simultaneously without being involved in pulling into each one and getting lost in each one individually. So you can experience far more things than moving into an actual experience by looking at the observed experience, and you've already had that anyway in your past, and you already know what it is in the first place. So it's hard to explain that. But the kidneys are the key, and you start seeing more and more kidney problems. So this lady needs to get on the kidneys and adrenal gland formulas, get on the lymph system, get on the herbal products, get on this herbal 14-week protocol, head down that road with that. Now with the kidneys, they don't like proteins. So guess what you have to get rid of? All proteins, because if you have weakness in the cells that your immune cells are attacking them, the only way you can stop that is strengthen the cells. We can do that anytime. We do it vaginally when we see atypical cells. We use Hillol T, and it converts these atypical cells within a week to two at the most. So we have herbs that enliven, we have glandulars that enliven, we have foods that enliven, which are the herbs. So we have a lot of tools at our hand and disposable. So the first thing off, you have to change what you're eating. So this lady with the nephrotic problem has to change what she's eating. And she wants to move to a fruit and berry and melon experience. She can have some salads, I guess, here and there. But she really wants to go to those foods that clean, those foods that energize, those foods that rebuild. And those are your fruits and your berries exclusively. Melons are good cleansers, of course, and hydrators. But of the trueness of chemistry, you're at your fruits and your berries. And your berries sit on the top. They're extreme on the nutritional side. And so this is where all the nutrition of nature is. It isn't in grains, these are starches. It isn't in beans, these are all dormant foods with enzyme inhibitors and high phytic acids. They serve no purpose except to fill the belly full of acids and pus and mucus. Dead animals, that's a no-brainer. Who wants to kill an animal and eat it? If you really want to eat dead animals, stop cooking them. Then the milks, that's a no-brainer. If you like to live with sinus and bronchial and lung problems and always full of mucus and stuff, well, drink all the milk you want. Things like that. And you want to grow tumors and lymph node swelling, do all the milk you want. But if you want to get well, those are the things you got to eliminate. I don't know what else to say. The syndrome is characterized by, it's a living of high proteins, but you got to remember what you're eating. And edema. And this edema, all this is just the response of acidosis, guys, in this lady's kidney problems here. And it's just showing acidosis, high protein, but that's the problem. They eat too much protein. What's the lady's creatinine? And well, I'm curious to see what she's doing with that. And is she peeing adequately and things like this? Because as long as those things are up there going for her, then she can get in here and turn this all around. But you have to you have to stop eating proteins, period. End of story, if you want to rebuild the kidneys. And that goes to all of you YouTubers and Facebook people. Ditch the proteins if you're not filtering and you have kidney problems. You want to rebuild them first before you enter that world of protein again. And that includes nuts and seeds too. So this is just a natural, the edema is just it's a swelling, and it's just a natural function of acidosis and, of course, restricted urine flow. This all leads to, future dialysis and everything else and kidney failure. And of course, I can tell you're not filtering. And so that's why you see the high bun and stuff like that. I've been on various immune suppressant medication. See, and this is the sickening part. They have her on immune suppressing chemicals, which is doing nothing but exacerbating the problem. You can't suppress anything. And then she also takes prednisone, which is because your adrenals are low, probably in their own steroids. And what they're trying to do is treat the acidosis by steroids instead of removing them. And the kidneys are at the doorway of removal. And the next thing to go is her bladder. So she has to rewind this, get on a anti-inflammatory, because that's all prednisone is anti-inflammatory. Well, what else is anti-inflammatory? Just about every herb out there, all the fruits and berries and the melons, even the salads are anti-inflammatory. See what I'm saying? So by going into a raw diet, you're on an anti-inflammatory, high vitamin C, flavonoid complex diet, high B diet. That's all fruits and berries. All of this is superb for the kidneys, but you want the astringent variety because you need some astringent action within the fluids, and that's gone by the subacid, the grapes and stuff. If I was this lady, I'd move into 100% raw, and I would move myself into a big long grape fast. And just do the darker grapes for as many days or weeks as you can, and come back, do some more fruits if you want, or do grapes and apples. But really get yourself away. If you want to restore your kidneys, not difficult. You'd want to get on a capsule kidney formula and a tincture. And if you need to, you could do a glandular to strengthen those kidney cells up a little bit to keep from the immune responses. But I'd have to see more of your blood work before I dive in too much and say that, you're going to lose your kidneys and all that. I've never seen anybody who couldn't turn their kidneys around. For the past 4 years, I've been taking cyclosporin. Ugh. Well, you're going to destroy all your bacteria in your body. You're not going to have bacteria in your lymph nodes for the body to break down these acids. And so you leave nothing left but your immune cells to deal with this. So the concept they have is totally wrong. And this lady's getting herself into a deeper hole. And she's got to stop and make some better decisions and turn around and get her kidneys filtering. And that's done through the herbs and the proper diet. Right now, especially with a high protein issue anyway, that'll just break down your kidneys even more. And I'm sure they told her to go on a high protein diet, the very thing that's exacerbating this thing for her. And then they use the prednisone. These guys just kill people in every way they go, and you see how they're doing it. They're telling her to eat the very things that's causing the problem. At the same time, they're giving her steroids to buffer what it's causing. You see what I'm saying? They're taking this lady like this and beating her up. Push pull, push pull. They're fighting their own selves, and they don't realize that. And these are learned people. I have tried many times throughout my life to discontinue the medication. It always results in a relapse because you got to start fixing it. You really got to start understanding why you have this problem, that most people do have genetically weak kidneys. The weaker the cell, the more immune responses to the cell, but I don't know how much of that's true with your case. Probably none of it. And so it's just, I'd have to see more, get a picture of your eyes and see what your eyes show in terms of kidney lesions, if you even have them, if it's just inflammation, that sort of thing. You can have high proteins and high edema and all this and not break down the kidneys. This person's only 27 years old. 27 years old. So, sweetheart, you really got to turn this around and get yourself, get these kidneys rebuilt. It's not difficult at all. I'm living a relatively healthy lifestyle on a vegan, good, mostly raw diet. Perfect, and consume mostly fruits and veggies. Okay, so go up a little bit higher, get rid of the vegetables, get on some herbs for specific issues, and you'll be able to take care of this problem straight away. Now, this is Chaga mushroom and maca. What is your view on these two? They both seem to get a lot of attention and press in natural health circles. Well, this is Bobby asked this question. Hey, Bobby. You know, I've tried different mushrooms. We used to grow the shiitake. We used to also grow I forget what they call the big one we used to grow. And always thought, you know, just like everyone else, that the mushrooms for the immune system and stuff like that. But as I said earlier in the video, I've never seen any evidence how a fungi can enhance bone marrow or thymus gland tissues. I've never seen the chemistry that does that. Because when you're touting a product or a specific nutrient or herb or fungi or whatever that has an action, then there has to be chemistry behind that. And I've just never seen that. Although I've seen people go on a mushroom formula. I have an immune formula that has the baby mushrooms because they're stronger. And so I put the baby shiitakes and stuff in there as well. And so I just never use it because when you really look at the body, getting into the bone marrow, getting into these tissues is breaking through a lymphatic stagnation issue. And I've never seen where a fungi can enhance lymphatic drainage. Matter of fact, everybody's trying to get rid of the fungus out of them, let alone put it back in. So, I mean, you have those thoughts, of course, at all these levels. I don't know. I'm a morel mushroom freak. I love them. I haven't had them in years, but my God, we used to pick them and, you know, fry them up. But again, you got to fry them up. And then some of us have done the magics raw, you know, and you do enough of those, that's enough to turn you off to mushrooms. So I don't know what to say about that. The maca, you know, I'm just, again, these are grainy products. It's, you know, it's like the plantain and the sweet potato, and then you've got all those starchy foods claim to be the nutrient, the chia seeds. Of course, they're pretty nutritive, I guess. And then you've got a lot of these kind of products out there. I don't know what to say about it. I say that anything that grows below the ground tends to be starchy, less electrical, more adrenal requirement, all those things. Less nutritive, less energetic, all that. Those things grown above the ground are more nutritive, more energetic, particularly berries and fruits, really powerful. So I don't know. I mean, as a balance in a diet, maybe okay. You know, I don't know what to say about the mushrooms. I just don't ever use them because there's nothing any higher than what you're on in a detoxification and a regeneration program. There's nothing any higher vibrationally, nutritively, tissue specifically. I don't know of anything higher. If you're down on the scale and your diet has a lot of cooked food in it, these foods might be helpful, maybe. But in reality, when you take yourself where you guys are, you're sitting on the mountain overlooking Wellville. I mean, you can't get much more powerful than fruits and berries, and then the botanicals. There's nowhere to go to get anything like that. You're at the top of the chain. It's a matter of your body working through and rebuilding and cleaning itself. And at what level are you with that level? You know, some of you have already went to the top of the mountain, and I don't know where you are, Yaz, but you got to be out there somewhere. You're probably floating above it. I mean, it's just there are these levels of extreme energy and extreme consciousness. I hit it, I touched it, and I couldn't stay long because it didn't afford me balance. And I knew I had some things to do here on this planet, and I had to get myself balanced, and I forced myself down. But it was essential, and looking back on that, to learn a lot of pitfalls and things to help others. That's all I can tell you, because sometimes when you ride that ride, you you have to be careful with the ego and your excitement, because that can translate into a people thinking that's ego. And so they just have to be careful, because it's such an energetic experience related to the rest of the humans that it looks different than what it is. So you can get way out there. Way out there. For those that are working that way, never give up on that. Because there's only one way to ride. You either ride up or down, and from one way of looking at it. From the God state, there is no up or down to it. You simply have to be it, live it, and take it on as your experience. And then you will have the experience. If you're using it as something you're doing on the side, I'm eating healthy on the side, then you'll really never touch Wellville. Wellville is an active, participating experience. But it's good questions here. Good questions. Thanks, Bobby. Master Morse. Paul, watch it there now. Please address MS and kidney stones. Wow. Or kidney pain, severe. My sister is Elsa. She is going through this at the moment. Well, Paul, my God, by the time you get this, of course, this is going to be, I don't know, what's the date on this? July 14th. Paul, this is the 28th, I'm sorry, and then Chris is gone for another week up in New York, and so it's going to be late before you get this, and so I'm sorry. But MS, all right, here's some setups for MS. Cerebellum weakness, adrenals, hands down, chronic, where your blood pressures are low, chronic fatigue syndromes. You have nerve rings to where your myelin sheaths are weak. You have a lot of lymph backed up in here from chronic bowels. So now what you're getting is brain lesions, inflammation, or the breakdown of the cerebellum. It's the equilibrium vertigo side of this. The recharging unit for the nervous system. The adrenal glands are down, can't keep a charge up. The myelin sheaths are down, you can't keep charged up. So then you have little spurts of energy and you have to rest. You can only have so much, and after a while it puts you down into a chair, you start dragging your feet, things like this. So this is, MS is full bore. Remember, I've said this many times, and I've talked about neurological conditions many times, but MS is full bore fruits and berries and melons and nothing else, in my humble opinion. Nothing else, not even a vegetable one. Fruits, berries, and melons. And you've got to get to the gut, you've got to get to the kidneys, you've got to get to the adrenals. I use adrenal 400s and in terms of glandulars, and I'm up in upper circuit, brain and nerve. I'm getting that lymph out so I can rebuild brain lesions. I'm in, actively inspiring the whole body to function and eliminate. Because if you look at this, it's obviously an elimination problem, because it's so acidic, you're burning in multiple places. You're seeing the breakdown of central and autonomic tissue and the inability to recharge that tissue. Kidney stones. Just had one, of course. That makes my 8th one. I have a few left in there. Some girl had called me. She said my kidneys are full of them. Some guy, get this, I was having a little aluminum work done, and most of the subs are friends of mine because I used to build houses and use these subs. And one of the workers I'd known him for a while, and he said, do you have anything for kidney stones? My wife has a kidney stone. And they went in and they put a stent in her, but then they couldn't get her to lithotripsy because the Obamacare wouldn't pay for it. So now she's got a stent in, and generally they do 3 stents, and then there's no medical doctor will send her to lithotripsy, so she's walking around with a kidney stone and a stent. And then they can't afford it. It's just out, and they pay $1,200 a month for their health care. And this is a poor family. I mean, they work every day to try to pay their. So there's the 500 milligrams of magnesium every 2 hours and 200 milligrams of B6 every hour for 24 hours. So that's something that you want to work with. Magnesium, I did it half-assedly and I felt some help, but I don't know, it's supposed to help dissolve kidney stones. I don't know how much that's true, but that's out there. We do use that here, 500 milligrams of magnesium every 2 hours for 24 hours, and with that 200 milligrams of B6 every hour on the hour for 24 hours. With that, you want to pump the juices, baby. I mean, I pump orange juice, and I always pass them, But you want to get those kidneys alkaline. And always, because stones are formed in weaknesses, and stones are formed in your lungs, stones are formed in your kidneys, stones are formed in your liver, stones are formed everywhere in your body where that lymph system is over acidic, and the body's using calcium out of the connective tissue of the wall of the gland or organ to help fight that, and you get stones, whether they're oxalates or whatever. It doesn't really matter what bonds to it. And how you break up bonding in the body is through alkalinity, it's through base chemistry again. And so you're pounding the fruits and you're pounding the berries. And now look at that. We've got kidney stones, and then we have MS. Does an MS client have weak kidneys? Absolutely. But if you can have both, for sure. But irregardless if these are two separate people that had the two separate problems, they're all going to deal with them the same. You want to get into the gut and clean up the gut. You're going to get the kidneys filtering. You're going to get a lot of juices that are astringent in that body. You want to use the kidney herbs because a lot of them are supposed to break up stones. Truly, in breaking up stones, you're in alkalinity. You have to change the nature of the chemistry interstitially. And that's called hydration interstitially. And that takes a little while to do that. So, it's all work, but it's simply, if you look back of how long man's been dealing with these bizarre lifestyles, he never really had his true lifestyle at any length of time. That's going way back. And it's going back so far that anthropologists thought man was an omnivore until the later findings, and now we go back there more a frugivore. So that's how we do that, Paul. Get your sister pumping those juices and everything else, but this is a little late to get this information to you. I hate that. That's one of my biggest fears, and the things that I hate is that through this method I'm not getting to you in time. But I had a vacation stuck in here and everything else. Any suggestion? Here's another inquiry. Any suggestions on remedy of chronic diarrhea? Well, interesting though. I would definitely move myself to a raw diet, but this time I'd definitely make sure I have lots of vegetables in there. Fruits right now would probably make you too laxative. With that said, we have a thing called Toxin Absorber. And this was a Blessed Herbs formula, but other companies have it. You could even use Schultz's number 2, the clay, where you have a little more bonding. You have to be careful with using a high clay like bentonite and charcoal formula. You have to be careful with that not to get locked in there and bound in there. So you'd want to just experiment with that, where you take a little more of that clay and get away from proteins, get away from all those things that causes inflammation and spasticity. Anything that's protein is going to cause spasms and convulsions and seizures. Simply because a high protein food is calcium restrictive. It's antagonistic to calcium, in other words. Because you have a little higher phosphorus ratio, you're going to leach your calcium out. You always see that. So anything that's high phosphorus, like soda pops, your phosphoric acids and stuff, your meats and stuff, your beans are going to be antagonistic to calcium. That's just the way it is. Actually, the only foods that are not really antagonistic to calcium are your fruits, your berries, your melons, and your salads. Those are the only foods that are not really antagonistic to calcium. Most all the other foods are at one level or another, even milks. Because remember, when you pasteurize at these levels, you literally bond your chemistry to where there's no way you're going to break that apart. And that's the problem in high heat injection of food sources, is the bonding, extreme bonding of chemistry. So I would use some clays like that, but in due balance, and go on the low side of using a clay like that, like a fourth a teaspoon and maybe a little juice or something. You need to clean your liver out and your pancreas out and then get yourself balanced out. Probably going on a vegetable diet would be a raw vegetable diet would probably be helpful to you. A lot of salads and stuff like that would be helpful to bring that into balance. I use my Stomach and Bowel number 1 because it has nothing in there to move you. It's just purely, I use it to slow people up. Now, some people have had movement from that formula, but I don't know why. There's just no movement factors. But you got to get in and clean up your bowel wall, get your liver. You have spasms, and clean up your liver, get your kidneys filtering. Go after your health just like you would anything else. But you can use these clay-type formulas to help bind you temporarily, but you're going to flip and go back to the other side. So be real careful how you enter that. This is an inquiry. Let me see here. Hello, Morris. I am 28-year-old French-Canadian man studying naturopathy. Good for you, my friend. You got a couple of good herbal schools up there. Dominion, killer school. And they used to have Emerson. I loved Emerson. Dominion, I love Dominion too. I graduated from Dominion. And about a week ago, I was feeling very heavy and tired and kept hearing this thought in my head or heart: there is a beautiful meeting up ahead if you can relax. Interesting. So I took a nap. At the end of the nap, I don't know in which beautiful dimension I got into, but there were 2 people in front of me. Ooh, I love this one. Ooh, this is good. Aren't these fun? I mean, there's so many fun experiences when you let go. Let go and let God. You know, that's an old saying, of course. But you let go and know that everything's being taken care of for you. It's all working through you anyway, and you can't change it anyway. One woman and one man. The woman approached me with her arms open to give me a hug, which I took with pleasure. Then the man, which was small in height but with wide shoulders, stocky fella, straight beard, kind of black hair, approached me with a very strong energy field around him. I hesitated maybe half a second, and then I hugged him also. Yeah, probably a master dude. There was so much love and especially support during that hug. It was intensely regenerative and beautiful. Woohoo! Man, that's the things I love. And this is, when you start letting go of this world more and not being so intense in the drama of materiality, which what does it give you anyway but pain and suffering? And you start to let go, the spirituality grows. Your spiritual guides, the masters come in and they work with you, and they do things like this with you. And that is when it gets extremely powerful. Woo! That's being said, having had these kind of beautiful, loving meetings with angels and guides before, my real surprise was when I found a video of you and recognized the man in my dream. Thanks, man. I have been studying health for every health guru out there, and I had yet to find someone who shares my views on spirituality and health. To General, thank you for the hug, Doc. Get out of here, man. And thank you, the woman, too, though I do not know who she was. Katadaki, probably. Here's my question. I am currently working as a message therapist in Quebec, Canada. You know, I told you, watch your dreams, guys. You know, we all work with each other, and we all love each other. 2 days a week and 4 days a week in a health grocery store where we sell many supplements, cosmetics, and organic food. Oh, cool beans. I also follow an online naturopathic class. My heart is into sharing the truth, but more importantly is in living it. Absolutely. But in living it, you are sharing it. Because as you walk and give others hugs, you're doing the same thing. You know, and that's what it is. We all learn to be the masters. We all learn to be the master, right? And then it goes on from there. Then you become the master's master. That's the level I love. After listening to 20 hours of your videos, oh my God, In 1 week, I feel I should find a way to get to Florida and have a personal consult. Oh, wow. For many reasons, but mainly to help me with my fatigue and digestion. Please let me know which days you are available during the next 14 days. Well, listen, any way you can. My name is pronounced Jerome. Jerome. Huh. Now, I might be pronouncing it wrong, and sorry, my English isn't perfect, but I say it was pretty dang good. You know what? My friend, you work with Jen B here. Ask her, and you're welcome to come and sit and get some clinicals here with me and see how we do it. And try to come to my class if you can. I would love to give you another big hug. You know I love all of you guys. And that's what we're here, is to bring the love and light to this world. And it's just such a pleasure to work with so many beautiful souls. I get taken back sometimes by it, because it's just it's just overwhelming. You know, there's so much suffering. It's a ripper, and it's good to see such good spiritual beings and working with them. It's my pleasure immensely to do this. This is Chad. Hello, Dr. Morse. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. The energy you maintain throughout a 2 hour is unbelievable. Oh, I'm just getting going. I don't know how you can talk that much without getting tired. Oh, I've done 6 hour videos before. You know, I've done that. Now, I was doing a talk one time, and this was at a health expo, and I said, well, how long you want me to speak? And I said, well, can you do an hour? And I said, I can do whatever we want. They said, well, can you do 2 hours? And I said, quit it. And they said, well, we have 3 hours. We'd beg you if you could do that. So, you know, it's just that work in the now. When you work in the now, when I do a class, I was taught by a spiritual being called Phoebe Quantz. A lot of you will see him. He looks like an old Indian man with a big white beard, but extreme on the teacher side. And I remember, I felt I had to get out and talk about God. I tried health. I taught classes on health for years, and then I had to go make a living. I couldn't make a living teaching naturopathy and helping people with their health, so I had to work. So I started building houses for people and helping people, remodel homes and stuff. And I got into Eckankar, and pretty soon I'm traveling and soaring, and I'm going, my God! And so I knew I had to lecture. I don't like to use that word, to give discourse, and so I've taught so many classes in my life, it's not even funny. But I used to have Phoebe Quantz, and he'll peer in here once in a while just to screw with me. But these beings will appear, and Phoebe was bad about it. He'd appear right here and start talking to me. And I'm in a class with people, or I'm putting on a lecture trying to talk to people about God and stuff, and here's Phoebe Quantz sitting here talking to me. And I was like, and he's telling me, let go when you speak. Just be when you speak. And you will tie in to the higher consciousness of the group consciousness, and you will tell them the things they want to hear. If you're trying to teach them the things you want them to hear, you don't always get through. And so he was teaching me to listen while I'm speaking. And it was tough, but I'm learning. It's amazing what these guys will do to you to get to build you, And so I hope that I can to return the favor to you guys, Anyway, the energy, I love energy like that. I had to cut mine way down, because if not, I get way out there, man. Especially when you start talking about God and love and consciousness, there's no end to that energy. And it's like, holy crap. And pretty soon, I can't even see the camera anymore. That's just, My question for you is this. What kind of symptoms can someone expect when they start a detox, primarily consisting of juicing, blending, eating fruits, and having one big salad a day? Well, generally speaking, if you're really toxic, a good cold and flu symptom will start coming on. You'll start feeling achy and, going into a little fever, hopefully, and sweating, and then here comes the sinuses and out of the lungs, and that would be a good one. Generally, the aches and pains don't come unless you're in a lot of pain, and then sometimes when you're in a lot of pain, moving these acids out are more painful. So it's a lot of that. I myself find I'm more prone to getting pissed off. Excuse me. You guys choked me up. Such good people here. Now, well, that's possible because it's trying to make a change you don't want to make. And it's getting into you and ripping apart that what you're trying to hold on to, and you got to let it go. You can hold on to things more than you need to. You don't need to prove any points. You just have to totally let go because nothing matters anymore. You're starting to touch the ultimate, and nothing matters outside of the ultimate, and that's your higher self. Away from, and not higher meaning something you can't reach. It's something you must be. It's not something that you wish for, that you want to understand your higher self. You are your higher self. But if you're working from the mind, you forget that. And now you're working through the mind and you forget that you are the consciousness of all of that. And the more that you work with that, and then of course, you're at the thyroid and parathyroid gland right here. This is where you get pissed off a lot. And you just have to kind of let that work through. And if you have a lot of candida problems, you can get pissed off from that too. Fungus doesn't like to be disturbed too much. They're happy little fellas. So in moving and starting to clean and change, that means changing your mind. It means changing your emotions. And so, yeah, you can have a rocky ride in emotions and thoughts. Anger, I got plenty of advanced cases, and some of them don't want to live. Some of them are so mutated they don't want to stay in their bodies anymore, and we're rebuilding those bodies. It just takes us so long to rebuild bodies, and then that also brings the karma of that individual in here. And in yourself, what are you working off? What must you let go? What have you been carrying for lifetime after lifetime? It's time for you to let it go. Drop it. Nothing matters anymore. Because you're the only thing. Your freedom is the only thing that matters. Seek that Constitution. I had was at a family reunion and a lot of military. And what they didn't understand is these are military that is not observing the military of the Fox News. All the colonels, the majors, I get a commander and the Navy SEALs writing me, and these guys are high aware beings. And so we were arguing about that, and I'm trying to say the reason Americans feel the freedom, they might not realize what's going on yet, is the document called the Constitution. Freedom is everything. And the more laws a society passes, the more negative the society gets. The whole issue is you're here to experience freedom and however you want to live, as long as you don't hurt another. And that's what you're learning, is how to be in your world. And in that, helping others in their worlds, because in the final analysis, all these individual worlds become one in the higher levels, and then it is all God again. And then you start going, oh my God, we're all one. And you don't understand that until you let go of the mind and the separation. When you start letting go and just working in the present moment, in the nowness, in the allness, then everything merges and becomes the one. And it's a natural phenomena that each and every one of you will experience or have experienced. And you have to let that go. Let all this negative anger go. Anger can be a fungal problem. It can be a thyroid, parathyroid problem. You start cleaning and fixing and working with these. Start meditating if you're tired. Start aligning. Use the word Om or Hu. The Hu is also Sanskrit and a much higher word than Om. That's for those that want to go into the soul plane and above. And you just go, Hu. Like you could go Om. You could count any of these, and you just sit in the corner and relax and chant these words, just like the old Gregorian chants, the Gregorian chants of the Catholicism, you know, where they're doing the incense and the chanting. You know, these are words that are empowered with energy. It's just the Om and the Hu are very empowered words. But you don't need words, but you can use them like you can use the herbs or you can use the foods. These are energetic alignment words and things. So it's just amazing. There's all kinds of things you can do when you start to feel yourself get pissed off or something. Get yourself away from things. Let things go. You could have an entity attached to you. Kick all things away. Merge with the light. Put the golden light around you and feel that presence of God or the light or the love, and just feel that and be the love yourself. Set all things outside of yourself. Anything sitting in, get it out. You don't carry things with you, my friend. Feel like Stone Cold Steve Austin at times. Yeah, interesting, huh? But, you know, sometimes we've had it with creation and we have to let go, man, because it doesn't matter anymore. It's not our dream. But we're participating in it, but we have to let go because we as individuals can't change it. It has to be a group, and that's why we're working together as a group. The power of the many outweighs the power of the few. Okay, so, you know, relax and let go. Because I can get pretty upset too, looking at the news all the time and looking at these lower states of consciousness souls that are just trying to suppress the life and of others, and just, you know, it's a mess here. It's a mess. It's a mess. And I will say religions have been a part of that mess. And it's time religions start waking up and grabbing their people and trying to save them again in the right way, not in the ways that one is better than another. We can have a million different religions as long as we recognize each of us as the same. Also, how do you know when the healing crisis symptoms are getting too drastic or serious to a point where maybe we should slow down? Well, I think that's intuitiveness. You have to find yourself where, oh, I've had it, that's it, I want to take a break. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with taking a break. I've started water fasting before and stopped the second day. I can't do this. And I went to water fast and started the 7th day or stopped the 12th day or same day with fruit fast. It's just all in the mix of things. Some days you can take off and go for a long time. Some days you can only go off and do a few hours. Who cares? You're doing it. You're doing your best, and that's all that matters. And the fact that you're doing it and you even think about doing it, that's all good stuff. So don't beat yourselves up too much, you know. You're better than that. Each and every one of you, and you too, Chad, you're better than that, you know. It's just you've got to let go of this world and start getting into higher levels. It's your time. Most of you are very spiritual beings, and you're going to get frustrated playing the same field of dreams that this world offers. Universal mind, same field of dreams. Okay, yeah, just a different view, different place, still same stuff, you know. Touch that higher stuff. Touch that higher level, you know. And start giving people hugs. That'll help. Start turning it around, Chad. You be the light. You start instigating the love in others, because that's what it takes. Don't expect it from others. You be the life and the love and the consciousness, you know, because this world expects it of others, and we're the only ones that can give it. But your sukkah comes from your surrender to the all. God will give it to you directly as you give it out to its creation. So it's just, it depends how you want to look at that. But you turn it around, Chad, and you be the light and the love, and you start giving what you see is needed out there to others, you know. Because it's just not going to come to yourself from the outside world. It has to come from within. This outside world is in trouble. For maybe we should slow down and have a bowl of quinoa or something. I say, my man, that might be good at times. You know, a bowl of quinoa to settle the stomach and the masses and stuff. Because there's no question that the fruits and the berries are very active and very powerful. I just don't want to go too far into a detox, new diet, where it becomes dangerous. Well, you can never get dangerous Chad, where it's all raw. When you start going way out there and doing a 43-day water fast before you've detoxed your body really well, I consider that dangerous. And there are a lot of experience behind that, and okay, a lot of people are doing it, but I consider dangerous as going too much into the fasting side with water or dry fasting. But you can never get dangerous really on fruits, berries, and melons and salads. And matter of fact, salads will hold you back even more, so there's really nothing dangerous about that. I would say the biggest danger one would have is if they're a COPD or they're on oxygen and they're so full of mucus, or you're a quad or paraplegic, you got a lot of congestion and you're detoxing. That one is more concernful because as mucus breaks up, then breathing is an issue. And we like suction machines and things like that. Doesn't hurt because the medical doctors don't know how to deal with excessive mucus. I mean, I spent years in cardiopulmonary, so very well of a pulmonary side of this. So don't feel that it's dangerous. It's dangerous when people take on saltwater things or too high a pH of waters or too much waters. Those things can be dangerous. But if you're using the herbs and you're using the fruits and berries and melons, hell, babies have been doing it, and 100-year-old people have been doing it under my care for 40-some years. This is from Ivy. There's another one from Chad. Thank you for reading my question, as I appreciate it quite a bit. I was now wanting to clarify with actually juicing, blending. Okay, so here's another question since we're talking with Chad here. I was wondering if you could please clarify to me when I should be juicing or blending with fiber intact or eating. I'm a little confused as to when I should do which and how should I balance all three. Well, that's a good question. You know, when one starts out on this, on the road to Wellville, I'll put it, I think one should have a salad a day. And preferably, I've thought a lot about this. I used to put it at lunch. I think you should put it at night. And do the fruits and the berries all day long. This will give you a better detox. There's going to be a point, though, where you feel like that you've gotten better, but you need to let something go. There's something pushing you to go deeper. That's when you drop the vegetables. If you have some very serious tumors, you have a lymph system that's chewing on you to where you're diagnosed with the word cancer, or you've got some serious issues of length of time on the planet, then I very suggest you move quickly through that phase to, let's say, a mono phase of just grapes. And I really don't care about juicing at all, to be quite honest with you. Although to take a serious situation a little deeper would then to be to juice those grapes. Because if you ever had a handful of grapes or you drank a glass of grape juice, feel the difference. You've compounded these grapes and concentrated them into a juice, so they have a much more butt-kicking experience. So your juices are much more concentrated and powerful, and nothing wrong with a juice fast whatsoever. So you can play with those things, Chad. There isn't a really, I say that if you can move through having a salad faster, if you're in trouble, that would be advisable. If you're in serious trouble, I nixate the salad right off and I put you on a fruit fast or whatever. I don't ever put anybody on water fast unless I've detoxed you to a certain degree, because you'll just have a better way of going about it. You'll feel better, angers are better, things are better like that. And to talk about the angers, there's also the crying. You can just cry for no reason whatsoever. You know, your emotions are being cleaned out. And these could be subconscious experiences that you're hanging on to that you just need to let go. And your conscious mind doesn't even know you have them and you're holding on to them. So this is why this is a whole experience of working yourself more in the now, because that's beyond even the subconscious mind. And that'll allow everything to flow and drain outward. All the thoughts and subconscious things that you're holding on to can now have a pathway to get rid of because you let go. You're the only one that holds on to anything. No one else does. No one's holding on to this for you. You're holding on to it. And whatever you're holding on to, why? Are you needing to learn the experience that keeps kicking back at you? Or you're holding on and someone just said let go? but you need to let go of it. You don't need to carry your past like a ball and chain around your neck, because you'll never be happy. There'll always be something there. I see that past life regression on TV. He's pretty good. Even goes back and looks up things that you talk about, you know. He goes back and tries to find actual birth certificates and things like that. Pretty cool stuff. You know, we had in the day the primal scream and then, you know, all those kind of crap things. But, you know, you can do that just going through this whole process here. You can go through the same thing and let things go, but become stronger in your consciousness. That's the key. You don't want to be like a leaf blowing in the wind and other people using you. So you can play with that, whether it's a juice or not juice. The less fiber, the better. When you get into vegetable fiber, here's a good point. If you want to reach Wellville, you're going to find where salads and vegetables are too coarse. Then you could go to green drinks before you entered all fruit. And there are highly depleted cases where we want to build them a little quicker. We're going to move to green drinks where there's no pulp in there. And you can get by with a little of that for a while doing the green drinks. As a matter of fact, most people can find their health with green drinks along with all fruits and berries and melons. That's a high level of thinking. Away from that then would be getting rid of the greens. So you would be all fruit and a salad a day. That would be a good level to start out with. Get rid of the salad, go to the green drinks. That's a higher level. Then get rid of the green drinks and all fruits and berries and melons. That's a higher level still. Then foaming that down to a more mono focus where you limit the different varieties is a more higher focus. And then going strictly on one is a more higher focus, like a grape fast. Then going on a grape juice fast is higher still. And then you've got water fasting at the highest peak. You're at the top of the mountain. And outside of that, you have specific herbs for specific reasons. That's why they're so beautiful. They're not for diseases. That's an illusionary concept. These are for specific. God didn't create the illusion of diseases. That's man. We created specific herbs for specific tissues, for specific fluids. It all just makes sense, doesn't it? I would like if you could take into consideration the following in your response. The only noticeable thing I have wrong with me is that I sometimes get what I'm told by doctors may be PVCs. PVCs are premature ventricular contractions or beats. I don't like those at all. So the one thing I would do, and that comes from the heart and the nervous system in the heart, I would strengthen the heart with a heart formula. I would strengthen the nervous system with brain and nerve number 2. I would increase neurotransmitters to the heart through the adrenal glands, through increasing adrenal function and fixing my kidneys. So that will also clean the lymph system in the heart, so any inflammation in the heart that could be swelling or blocking nerve impulses or creating ventricular pulses, and that also means that probably your sinus, your atrials are backed up lymphatically. So you want to detox the body lymphatically, because PVCs is not in the course of things. Medical doctors pass minor PVCs off. I don't, because that's just the start of things worse. PACs would even be better, and that's premature atrial contractions. That's coming from up in the atrium where they're supposed to, at least. But ventricular is your lower chambers in your lungs and your heart, and you don't want any electrical beats originating from there. We have a word called VTAC, ventricular tachycardia. That's when you're going out. That's the next thing to no rhythm. Asystole. The only noticeable thing I have, my blood pressure and heartbeat are normal. How normal is normal? And do you run low blood pressure, and is your bottom too high? You know, when someone says normal, I'd rather you state your blood pressure, because normal to medical doctors is far from normal for naturopaths, or should be. I sometimes feel a slightly stronger heartbeat once in a while, or on days where I play sports a lot. So that's probably when you're feeling that premature beat. And it's just that a premature beat is mean your heart's going beat, 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 beat. beat. Feels like there's a pause in there. And then you have your first degree, second degree, and third degree heart blocks, meaning that you go beat, 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 oh, beat. Those are pauses. Don't like either one of them. Especially when you're watching a monitor and you see a good, 10-second, 30-second pause. I can't remember how many second pauses I've seen, but I've seen some long ones. I mean, because now you're thinking of flatlining. I sometimes feel like, okay. And like I say, I'd use the heart formula to strengthen myself, the brain and nerve formula to strengthen the nervous system, the adrenals bring them up. At the same time, I'm going after kidney filtration, I'm moving lymph, because you've got to get this lymph moving and getting all this inflammation, the swelling, and all this out of the heart itself. And of course, increasing blood flow. You can actually use lower circulation to get blood flow to the heart even better. So play with those. Do you think anxiety could be the cause of PVCs or PACs? I will say from the standpoint that it's the same gland. Same gland, adrenal glands. That's where you get anxiety from the adrenal glands. It's also where you're getting neurotransmitters that creates the pulsing of the heart. That's your top systolic number. I'll also say it wouldn't be bad to check what else. How about parathyroid gland? Would not be bad to check the parathyroid gland. Make sure that your calcium utilization is up there. Yeah, I got a chance for one more, then we're going to cut. And then I'll start another video so we don't have long videos. And that way Chris can get this one up fairly quick. I'm almost ready. I'm just going to end it with this one and then we'll go. Okay. The natives are restless out there. All right, so this question is, I am currently a neuroscience undergraduate at Boston University, and I have recently become interested in mind and brain medicine and detoxification. Ooh, I like this guy already. Guy or gal, I can't tell by any name here. Gianna, I think that's a female. Wow. Have you seen a patient completely cured of Parkinson's disease? If so, what do you suggest is the best treatment for it? Not Parkinson's. MS, Lou Gehrig's, yes. I've never had a Parkinson's case that actually stayed with me that could get total remedy. Can you believe that? Have plenty of MS, always with MS and Lou Gehrig's. Parkinson's, I never had one. I've only had a few Parkinson's that actually trusted in me, and one couldn't get off of Sinemet, so he left. Sinemet is an antispasmodic that's worse than cocaine, in my opinion. In terms of, backing up though, in terms of brain lesions, and the equilibrium, the cerebellum connection, these are not difficult to rebuild. But first you have to focus on what's down below them. And that's going to be the GI tract, and it's going to be kidney filtration. Because how do you get brain lesions in the first place? And then how do you repair them? And you repair them by reversing how you get them. And when you look at science, you're on the chemistry side of acids, so that's a corrosive side. You know you're on your lymphatic fluids, interstitial fluids. As a scientist, you're going to look at that's what's touching the cell. And you know that if you get intracellular acidosis, you're going to have mutation of DNA, chromosomes, the whole 9 yards, the organs of the cell itself. So now you're starting a mutated line of consciousness and replication. And so you see how all this begins the replication and the deterioration of the morphology of a cell. Well, you can reverse that by changing exactly the consumption, the chemistry, and just what we talked about earlier on this video, the changing of the ingestion of energetics and the appropriate chemistry bonded the way nature bonds. Then you can go specifically to nature and find the neural herbs and all of this sort of thing. So I believe increasing blood flow up into the brain on a Parkinson's, as well as enhancing the central and autonomic. I'm going to go always to the adrenal glands. I'm always going to enhance neural transmitter production in the adrenals. I'm always going to get kidney filtration because you got to drain the brain. Well, looking at the brain, it sits on top of the esophagus, it sits on top of a stomach, it sits on top of some small and large bowels, 27 feet long. So you've got to do some cleaning and get all this moving, get this interstitial fluid moving. That way there's repair can take place, because there's always repair of tissue as long as you can remove the acid base. You can't repair cells in an acidic medium. If you don't remove the acid medium, there's no repair of cells. So when you're seeing symptoms or problems that are not getting well, it means you're not getting interstitially, you're not getting hydration, you're not getting alkalization, you're not being able to remove that acid base. And so, or acid condition, and that's what you have to focus on. But, the fact that you're becoming a neuroscientist and all that, I hope you really grab this and take a run with this and see this side of this, because then you really can open up some good views in neuroscience and show some regeneration of that, because now you're into a physics understanding as well, because it would be interesting to see the electrical frequencies of that which breaks down nerve tissue and yet that which rebuilds, because I don't think we've ever lost an MS case. For you guys on the YouTube that are sitting there in your chairs, get on All Fruit, Berries, and Melons, and you two of you know who I'm talking about, and you get yourself on these All Fruits, Berries, and Melons, because if you have MS and you're in a chair, there's no reason on this earth you can't get up and walking and get this done. I've never seen a brain lesion you couldn't rebuild. I've never seen where you couldn't rebuild the cerebellum. I've never seen where you couldn't rebuild the adrenals. I mean, those people that have no way to get out of this are those that are on their deathbeds. Outside of that, it's only time. It might take you a year or two. So what if it took you 2 years? Most MS cases are well up and walking within the year. Easy. And so some quads and paraplegics are. But if you're a quadriplegic and it takes you 2 years, so what? Look at what being in a chair is all about. There's no fun. And it's not good. Worked with them for years and years, so we know quite well with that. But, I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited. I love this email here. This is really good stuff. And so I'm hoping, because she's entering into brain medicine, but she's also entering into another look at of this. Because I've asked medical doctors about the blood-brain barriers and things like this. Some say it exists, some say it doesn't. There's all kinds of things out there, but I've never seen a case you can't rebuild the brain tissue. Now, Alzheimer's and dementia, way out there. If you can tie them down and you can get to them, you can change the outcome. The problem is, you're getting people that can't remember to do anything. You have some serious problems in regeneration of these type of people. So thank you. I love all of that. When you mix science with what we know to be true, now you're going to expand the way the world sees things. Nobel Peace Prize coming for that individual, I hope. Well, I love you guys, and I appreciate it. Sorry I haven't had a video out for a while, and it's going to be a while before you get this one. And then I'm going to come back and add, but we'll make them their separate videos. So thanks so much. I love you guys. You guys are really tearing it up. Those of you that are struggling, hang in there. Don't take no for an answer, and you will get to Wellville. And I love your spirituality, and for all of you, here's a big hug. And keep watching your dreams, because I'm in them, and I'm hugging a lot of you guys. Love you all. May the blessings be. Bye, bye, bye. Push in on the red one.